Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the OurMFC channel. It's been a while, and it's actually the first time since we're all on together. Me, Ben, and Matty. Say hello, guys.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hi.
So what we're going to be doing, as I briefly mentioned, if you've seen my video a couple of weeks ago, we're cutting back to kind of focus on quality over quantity on the YouTube channel and the podcast. So what we're going to be doing is similar to like Borough Breakdown and Borough Polish, but obviously putting our own spin on things. We're going to be kind of reviewing the previous match or matches and then previewing the next match. So we're going to be talking about obviously the Swansea game at the weekend, and then after that we'll look ahead into the Cardiff game. So we'll just jump straight into it and get your guys' thoughts on. I'm going to kind of put the first half as a bit of a whole because it was a bit meh. Do you know, it wasn't. Yeah. There's not too much to really talk about there. But what were you guys' thoughts on it?
It's been a bit. It's not what we expected, to put it that way. You know, we all like. I mean, I remember me and you, Jordan. We sat down a few weeks ago. We previewed these last 9 games, or however many it was, and we talked about how important getting the maximum number of points as possible is in order to, you know, maintain the playoff push and whatnot. So, but I honestly think that we are just ruining missed chances over and over and over again. We're not taking opportunities, and you know, especially at this stage of a season, it's something that you really need to do, and it could honestly come back to bite us on the backside in the long run. So it's not been the start to these 9 games that we wanted, but yeah.
I mean, you say start to the 9 games. There's 3 of them left now. So.
Well, yeah, I'm losing track of time, mate. You know what I mean? It feels like yesterday I was sat here talking about like just before the first one.
Yeah.
So. You know, 3 games of the season.
Really a lot of chances in that first half, was there? To be honest,
no.
It all kind of came in the second half, but in that first half, it was a little bit lackluster from both teams. I know Swansea dominated the ball. I think, well, we've seen them do that all season. I think Swansea are going to be one of them teams next season that are probably going to be up there and challenging for the playoffs, because I remember when Russell Martin was at MK Dons and the quality he brought to them and how he left them, which is, you know, why he got the Swansea job. And for me, I think that was pretty much a perfect job for him. But they play to dominate games, which they did do. Don't get me wrong, they had a lot of possession, but they didn't.
Was it something like 80% possession they had on?
It was 75 at the end of the game.
Yeah, it was 80 when I looked, but I was thinking, Jesus Christ, yeah.
So
I mean, you've got to remember
half time.
You've got to remember when you're talking about how good a job he's done. You've got to remember they lost Andre Ayew in the summer, I think. He was a top scorer for about 400 seasons in a row.
Ever.
Class player, to be fair.
Yeah, he was quality. You know, I mean, they're 14th. I'm pretty sure they started the season horrendously, from what I remember, by where they should be. So, to be fair to Big Russell, he's done pretty well. But yeah, I mean, I've got the stats up here from the first half, and it was 81% possession for Swansea.
Jesus,
which
it's like it's unheard of. You kind of get like 60-40.
I honestly can't remember the last time I saw possession like out weird like that. I honestly can't remember the last time.
Even Norwich, that kind of thing.
Like I don't recall ever seeing a half-time stat being that large of a gap. But like you say, considering they had that amount of possession, I don't recall Daniels really being tested in that first half. He didn't have a lot to do.
Well, they had no shots on target first half.
There you go.
Yeah. And I looked at the action areas as well, and it was kind of 44% in the middle, which, you know, as you would, I mean, it clearly implies a lot of the game was just passing it sideways in the midfield.
Yeah, I think they touched on it at the start. It was just a lot of missed chances for both sides. It was just one of them games where, you know, anyone, you know, if you took the chances, it could have been anyone's game. But you know, it's just one of them games. You know, we get them. It's just something we have to deal with. But, you know, we get them. Well, a little too often for our liking, but Yeah.
We'll get onto that a little bit later then. But going into the second half then, because like you say, there's not too much to talk about in the first half. Going into the second half, I think it was one of them where both teams came straight out of the blocks, and I think we edged it initially in terms of the way that we came. It's as if Wilder put a rocket up their ass really, because like you said, straight into that second half, we were straight into it, and the players got going, and we got our rewards. Attacked. I think it was down the right hand side, and it goes forwards, and I think a Swansea player intercepts it, or he loses it, or something like that, and that's when Riley McGree picks it up.
Yeah.
And I remember it looked like he'd held onto it just too long, and the defender actually moves away, which gives him the time and the space, and takes a shot. Obviously, it takes a massive deflection, but straight into the back of the net, and obviously was celebrating in front of the away end.
Yeah, I mean, that is one positive to come out of the game. Riley McGree's first goal for the club. As a wise man once said,
I honestly rate McGree. I always have done. Ever since I honestly rate him. He's quality.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it's the type of thing as like you see it all the time in the Instagram comments when Borough posts the full-time score. It's always like switch the players around, get this player in, get that player out. Yeah, but we have to remember, like, the fans are not Chris Wilder. They don't know the squad like he does, and it's like
we do.
Yeah. I get frustrated when I see that kind of thing, because I'm thinking, like, you're not there, you're not managing the team. But when you've got players like McGree, who are showing every time that they play that they have something special to offer, and that they have that ability to do it. You can kind of see it as well, why the fans are like, right, we need to start him more often because he's got something special. Yeah. We need to maybe switch this a bit round because it's not really working in order to achieve something that we want to achieve, like the playoffs. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because he's obviously rotated the squad a lot recently. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's just trying out different things. So
I think the problem for McGree is that he plays in the same role as Tav plays, and Tav is so crucial to how we play, which people are kind of coming round to a bit more now.
I remember he used to get a lot of stick, Tav. He used to get a lot of stick, but he's been absolutely magnificent. He's been phenomenal. So yeah, it's definitely shut the haters up a little bit.
Yeah, too right.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Ben, in the sense of one thing that I said, like me personally, I know Mado gave Luke Daniels man of the match, but for me, I would have gave it to McGree because I thought, like you said, his first goal for the club, but the range of passing that he showed, and it was that eagerness to kind of get on the ball, his passing, his movement, and there was a couple of times, he put the final ball in for Connolly. We'll get onto that later because it's a whole different, but there was a few times where he kind of slipped in these through balls to the strikers that kind of, they were disguised passes almost. You didn't see it until he'd made it, and then you're like, holy shit, that's an awesome pass.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was pretty instrumental there. One thing I wanted to see maybe going forward is for McGree to play a little bit higher, a little bit closer to the strike, and then as if we've kind of got the midfielders in a line. So you've got Housen, the deepest midfielder. You've got Tav just in front, who's kind of like everywhere. He's just floating, and then McGree like right in behind the two strikers. So you've kind of got that triangle going on because he's the one in and around the box. He's not afraid to get his shot off. And like we've seen against Swansea, yes, it took a deflection, but and like you said, them passes that are going to be key to, even if he plays a bounce pass into one of the strikers, then recognises the movement of the other one and slips them in. I think that's where, like you were saying, Ben, that's where he should play, because at the weekend, him and Tav kind of cancelled each other out at times.
I see what you're saying, but I think that kind of I mean, Matt Crooks, his form has fallen off, and obviously I think he's still serving that 3-game ban, or he might have ended now.
I think is it the next one? I think
the next one's his last one. I think his next one's the last one,
yeah. But the thing is, he is, this season, apart from recently, obviously, he was quality. He might be our top scorer. And that aerial threat he provides is huge, because we are a small team. and McGree isn't exactly huge. Plus, he's also a left. So I see where you're coming from. I feel like the balance of that midfield might be. You're asking a lot of Howson. I think that's
massively. Yeah, that I think that's the only thing. I think you've got to certainly pick and choose when you play that formation or when you play that kind of tactic, because, like you say, if you've got kind of that many men forwards, you are relying too much on Howson, and it leaves you a bit what's the word? Like left for cover almost. You don't have much.
Yeah, you can't have Howson on his own. You can't just rely on Howson solely to do that, because he's just not. You can't. It's in football in general. You can't just have one man relying on one man to do that. So
yeah, you maybe do that if. I mean, I don't think Wilder ever would, because he's quite reluctant to change formation. But you'd maybe do something like that if you had one striker and you maybe played Howson, Crooks, Tav, McGree, and then one striker, and did it that way. So you replaced one of the strikers, and then Crooks is back into the side, and maybe did it that way. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've had to think about that. About maybe switching from two strikers to one, and maybe seeing how that works, because you guys will agree with me. We don't have the best strikers in the world, and they're not exactly the strikers that we may necessarily need right now. Like, don't get me wrong, they're good players, but the way that we've seen them, they just don't seem to be. I don't want to say not getting the service, but maybe that is actually part of it. But it's just like, it's not. They're just not performing as well as maybe some people are wanting or expecting them to, and then they're getting a lot of stick for it. I know Connolly, the amount of comments I see about Connolly after virtually every game is like, it's mad, really. Like, he hasn't. Don't get me wrong, he hasn't had the impact that I expected him to when he first came in. But it's football. You're not gonna, you're not gonna score every game, except if you're Lionel Messi or Ronaldo or someone like that. But which Connolly definitely isn't. No. But but yeah, as you said there about the midfield as well, we've got plenty of gifted players. We've got plenty of players that can cause a threat. But as you said, it's about knowing not where to put them, but like how to structure them in a way that's going to be effective, and that, as you said, don't cancel each other out like McGree and Tav seem to be at parts on Saturday. So it's like, it's obviously not our job, it's Wilder's job to do that. But we can sit here and speculate how we want to do it. But yeah, I think we have the players. It's just knowing where to put them and how to structure them, and what roles and what things they have to do to maybe get a bit more of a threat going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Were you going to add something there, Ben?
I mean, I was going to go back to the Connolly thing. But I mean, if you want to leave that till later, that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to we'll leave the Connolly thing till a bit later, and then we'll, because one of the notes I had was about like the strikers as a whole, and how they've been.
Yeah, I've got notes on that. So,
yeah, we'll leave that for later, and we'll proper dig into that. I'm sure we've got plenty to say on that.
Oh yes, we've got plenty to say.
But then, obviously, after we scored, we had a golden opportunity to score. We attacked down the left-hand side, and I think it was Tav that had the opportunity.
As much as I love it, he's got to square that. McGree.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he kind of cuts back, and he's right there on like virtually the 6-yard box. I mean, even if he takes the shot on, he should do better because it's right at him.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? It was definitely was one of them. And then we don't score that chance. I remember I literally, as the keeper saved it, I've gone, we have to score that, and they go straight up the other end. And
I think I just had my head in my hands for a good 5 minutes after that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Doing my usual shouting at the TV, which I often do. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
There's some things I saw as well in the build up to their goal that were a little bit disconcerting. Like, for example, I watched the highlights today again, and I saw at one point, as they were starting the breakaway, Bowler and Howson just pointing and shouting at each other and not trapping the man, just having a chat. Just kind of, a little bit. It seems like a lack of leadership or something to me there. a little bit, mental fatigue. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I did see that. I can't remember if it was the Swansea game or possibly the Huddersfield game. It was Bowler and Tav. I think it was. They were.
Yeah.
I think it was the Huddersfield game. They were having a bit. So it seems like we've been on this good run, and it's starting to take its toll on the players, and there's a bit of squabbling between them, and it's not a good thing to see, is it really? I need cutting out.
Not ideal. There was one thing which I'd say was arguably even worse than that, which was the defensive line. I don't know if you thought it at the time. It's about everyone's kind of in a straight line, and then there's just Sol Bamba about here.
Yeah,
playing everyone on. I love Sol. He's a beautiful bloke. But yeah, there's just no.
Yeah, there was some questions asked after that. Definitely, I noticed that as well. I think I tweeted about it. I can't remember if I did or not. Where it was like, what? Yeah, we were all in the line, but then you've got Sol as like the outlier.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there scratching my chin. I'm just thinking,
what's going on here?
Yeah.
How's that happened?
Yeah.
One thing, actually, while we're talking about Bamba, there was one thing that their main threat really was that Obafemi has got like unbelievable pace, and one thing that their main threat was threading through balls to him, and us relying on Bamba to keep up with him. That wasn't.
It's not ideal.
Really, obviously, he's getting on. He doesn't have the pace to keep up with someone like Obafemi. So yeah, that was a little bit of a concern. But then, I mean, like you say, we go back down the other end, full on end-to-end stuff. We go and crack the bar. Bowler has I think it comes right. I think it's a corner actually, and it gets headed out, and Bowler just smashes it. Similar to the goal that he scored the last time we played Swansea at their place, and it got disallowed, which was like ridiculous. I remember Neil Warnock fuming after that.
Neil Warnock, what a beautiful
area
man.
to that. And you can tell when he hits it. He just cracks the bar.
I honestly thought it was in when I saw it. I thought it was in.
It's one of them where when he leaves his foot, you're thinking, oh my god, he couldn't have hit it any better. And then obviously you see the bar rattle, and you're like yeah. And then they go down our end, and Daniels makes a unbelievable save to tip it onto the bar. And while we talk about the save, actually, I want to get your guys' thoughts on Daniels as a whole, how you thought he was in that game, because personally I thought he made some brilliant saves, he commanded his area. I felt a lot more comfortable with him in goal. I wasn't kind of hesitant every time the ball got passed back to him, and I could feel that amongst the defenders as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe with Daniels than it is Lumley when he's in goal, because obviously like we are used to seeing Lumley make some costly mistakes that really do hurt to watch them back sometimes. But yeah, like I think it's that thing of like all this season, specifically where I sit when I'm at the games. Whenever the ball gets passed back to Lumley and he comes out to like kick it out or something, like everyone's always a little bit shaky. Everyone's always a little bit But yeah, I think watching Daniels on Saturday, especially, he's definitely got promise. He's definitely showing why he was here to challenge for Lumley's spot in the first place. He obviously, as you said, unbelievable save. Then made some great saves, commanded his box well. And I think overall, we just, as fans, we've just felt that little bit more comfortable with Daniels in goal as opposed to Lumley, which is always good because we need a little rest. So yeah.
I mean, what I've seen from Daniels, I am more confident in him. To be fair, I think earlier in the season when he came in, me and Matty had a bit of a debate in the WhatsApp chat a couple of months ago. I did not want to see Daniels because he terrified me.
And I was just ranting about how I hated Lumley. No, don't get me wrong.
Well, but since Daniels has come back in, I've got to say I've been impressed. I mean, his distribution.
I have 100%.
From what I've seen, I do think we'll sign a new keeper because the way we play out from the back, you need a keeper that's really good with his feet. And Daniels, he's not that really. He's a good shot stopper, and like you say, he seems decent at commanding the area. I think he's just a good number 2, really. That's how I see it. And he's doing a good job at the moment.
Yeah, he's a good number 2, but I don't like Lumley as our number 1. if that makes sense. Like it's like as I've said, there's always that nervous energy whenever Lumley's in goal. Like because obviously those mistakes he made earlier in the season and have contributed to it. But I think as you can tell when you're at the games, as I said, when the ball's passed back to Lumley, when Lumley comes out to get the ball, you're always a little bit like, oh, do I really want to watch this?
Yeah, so when he comes from, like he's on the halfway line, he's got the ball, and you're thinking, when did we sign Neuer? Like when did this occur? No, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you as well, Ben, in the sense of when Daniels was first in the side, it was when Wild was first appointed. I think Lumley made a couple of mistakes his first couple of games, so he brought Daniels in, and Daniels was just as bad.
Yeah.
At the time, it was like voting for.
I think we 100% need a new goalkeeper in the summer. 100%.
It was like voting for the next prime minister. It was like picking the best out of a bad bunch, almost, wasn't it?
Well, let's not get political, John. All right.
This isn't the time and place to get political.
Just,
we could go on a whole other tangent about that. We'd be here for hours.
Yeah, let's not. But yeah, it's interesting though. Would you guys say? Because I can see us signing a new number one, like for sure.
Yeah, we need one, 100%.
Whether that's a loan or a permanent. But would you say if Daniels kept up his performances until the end of the season, like he did against Swansea, do you think there's a chance of him getting a contract extension to kind of be that number two next season?
I could see him getting an extension.
Yeah, I can as well. I think the fans obviously have a bit more faith in him. The fans obviously taking to him a bit, so that's obviously a huge factor. But I think, yeah, we need someone in the summer, 100%, because I just don't think having Lumley and Daniels is the answer that we need, because we obviously need someone reliable in goal. And don't get me wrong, both of them have got good qualities. Both of them have got qualities that are not so good. But we definitely need a new keeper, because we just need that extra stamp of confidence in someone in goal. We need that extra bit of confidence in our goalkeeper, which I don't think anyone really has 100% in both of them right now.
I mean, and if you look at the top teams in the world, like your Liverpools, your Cities, Real Madrid, they've all got this one keeper who plays every week. Who is world class. Obviously, we're not going to get a world class keeper. I'm not saying that. But, I mean,
it comes to Borough.
Hey, we could see it. Who knows? I'll hit him up. But you need that consistency in the back line, and that's something we haven't had really. What with injuries and Joseph and Luke not being the best keepers, that is not the Bible prophets. It's going to be interesting, and we've obviously been linked to the couple already.
I saw something about Dean Henderson the other day on a potential loan move or something. I was thinking, oh Jesus, that might be all right. But
I mean, linking back up with Wilder, I think that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? But realistically, I think if he was to go on loan anywhere, it would be to a Premier League club. Now, I don't.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. So what?
Considering challenging for number two, but who knows? Anyway, we don't have long, so we'll move straight on to. Obviously, we spoke briefly about the missed chances, but the one really big one at the end, bloody hell. Do you know what I mean? Riley McGree puts in that beautiful through ball that we spoke about, and Connolly, you are begging for that net to bulge. You're begging for any real contact at all. I mean, you can say fair play to the defender. He's running back. He's kind of caught him off balance, but there's no excuse for that for me, really. He needs to score that goal. Well,
in his defence, the touch is decent. It's decent, but he does have. I think Mother Teresa probably had more killer instinct than him. This is the problem. It's just
It's once again. It's just Aaron. What are you doing? The amount of complaint. I don't think I've heard this many complaints about a single Borough player in a very, very long time. That I see pretty much after every single game in Instagram comments, tweets, everything. Everyone's saying, right, get Connolly as far away from this club as possible. To think he was, it's like seeing that amount of people, it's like, wow, people really don't like this guy. And it's
Like,
And it's like, and obviously as a player for him, if he knows that he's got all of this going on in the background, like that's obviously gonna not exactly give him the biggest confidence boost either. So it's like, obviously we brought in Connolly hoping that he would, obviously came from Brighton, played in the Prem. We were expecting him to sort of bring that Premier League sort of experience down to the Championship and sort of like be a reliable, like, put the shots away, but it just hasn't really materialised.
Just add goals.
Yeah.
Like, that's all we're begging for a striker.
Yeah.
And
obviously, we've got, I think, haven't we put all of our recognised strikers on the pitch quite a few times? Like with the substitutes, we still haven't managed to like really like score many goals. It's like it obviously raises a lot of questions. It's similar to the goalkeeper situation. I think it's similar to like what do we have to do in order to score more goals? Who do we have to bring in? Like, what can we just please get an answer on what we have to do? Because we've got quite a few striker options. You look at Coburn, Balogun, Watmore as well. We've got plenty of striker options. It just doesn't. The goals just don't seem to be coming out of it.
Mm. Yeah, it's a strange one. It is a strange one. Yeah, it's got to be one of them for recruitment in the summer. Well, obviously it's going to be because we've only got 4 strikers really. We've got Watmore, Coburn, Akpom returning from loan, and Toyota Alasonia really.
Yeah, I don't think Akpom's sticking around, to be honest.
I don't see that. It's one of them though. Like, you just never know with players like that. He didn't really do anything under Warnock, but when you look at the type of player that he is, like there's a chance there. It wouldn't surprise me if he stuck around for pre-season while they kind of got an idea of what he's about, and then he assesses whether he's in his plans or not. And if he thinks not, he'll be out the window, and we'll have a replacement pretty much straight away. From
what I've heard, I've got a tiny bit of inside knowledge, not within the club.
Ben, who are your contacts?
I can't tell. But from what I've been told from someone who used to train with him, their words are, I quote, "He's not a footballer." It doesn't particularly fill me with confidence.
It seems to be a thing with strikers, isn't it? Like my dad says this a lot. We see strikers like Akpom, and even like going as far back as maybe a Sombalonga, where like they perform well, like really well in the club that they were playing for, and then they come to us, and it seems to be a bit of like I don't want to say a striker cursing ground, but you know what I mean. Yeah, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like we see like strikers like Akpom and, as I said, a Sombalonga going, if we want to go that far back, like doing great for their clubs before, putting the goals in, but then they come here and they just don't seem to be the same person. And, I think that's a problem that we've had for many years now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree massively. It's always been a problem. I think all we're crying out for really under Wilder is to find that inner Bamford, that season where we get a striker that scores, even if they were to score anything like Britta Sombalonga in his first season where he scored 15 goals. If you can get a striker that's scoring 15 goals, it's like Vyman for Bristol City. I think he scored 20 goals for them now. If we can find a striker that's going to score that amount of goals, and then you've got the likes of Crooks, Cav, McGree, do you know what I mean? Players adding to that tally, then by all means, there's promotion there. And I think what a lot of people have been saying consistently now, like opposition pundits and fan channels and things like that, if we had a prolific goal scorer, we would be up there already. We'd be in a position where, similar to like Huddersfield's position, would be pretty much secure knowing that we were going to be in the playoffs and we were going to challenge. But because we don't have that, we've just lacked the goals again.
We just need a Mitrovic. We just need someone like a Mitrovic, please. I beg, honestly, I beg. We just need a good striker because, as you said, he's phenomenal this season. But you know, three games left. It's not, it's not exactly the greatest amount of time we've got. But then obviously we've got the summer afterwards. We need to look at options to bring in. We need to find someone who we think is going to suit the club and who we can have that little bit of faith in, and that's going to come in and just be the prolific goal scorer that we've needed for many years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just need to hopefully have luck on our side and find the right one in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is all we've got time for because the recording is going to end soon, and I haven't figured out how to upgrade it yet. So that's why we're going to wrap it up for this one. We were going to do a preview. We don't really have time. Were you going to add something, Ben, quickly?
I just want to say one quick thing on the Cardiff game. That's
fine. Go ahead, do it. Go.
Just a little typical Borough moment. 3 of their top scorers are former Borough players.
Oh, God.
I mean, one of them's Uche, who probably can't play.
Uche, yeah.
But then Jordan Hugill and Aidan Flint has 6 goals. He's their top scorer. So
so it's not looking good, is it? Really, you can see
lovely set piece.
Typical Borough. It's just typical Borough.
A 3-0 Cardiff, two Hugill goals and an Aidan Flint goal from a corner. See it coming. Anyway, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure as always, mate.
And thank you to everyone listening as well. If you listen on YouTube or watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you listen on the podcast, make sure you follow us. Stick around for more because this is going to be a weekly thing now. But yeah, thank you all and au revoir.
Thank you.